Hi, everybody. I'm just waiting for Eve and Cherie. I think Eve's here.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Good evening or afternoon over there?
It's afternoon. Yeah.
You've been a busy girl.
What was that?
You've been a busy girl this morning or today.
Oh, well, this morning with the live with Raj and Claire.
Yeah.
Before that, though, I was just lazy. I wasn't really doing anything.
It was way too early for me to wake up to watch, so.
Oh, I don't blame you. I saw the time difference, and I wasn't expecting you to watch it.
I think Cherie's here. Hello.
Cherie.
Hi. Okay, I've got to figure out which way to go. This way.
I can hear you both very clearly and loudly, and I presume you can hear me as well, guys.
Yep, all good.
Awesome.
Good.
So I've just put a little, ticker message down the bottom of the screen there. And before we get into it, guys, as you know, it's been a pretty distracting week. So I need to warn you both that I haven't had a lot of time to think about the stuff that I'm going to talk about on this stream, or I just, haven't put too much focus on it. So I'm gonna rely heavily on you two.
Oh, great.
But that's all right. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yep.
Hello, Signorina, Bohemia, Rich Mitch, if you're there. Anyone else is here. Hey, can I just also ask, maybe I'll wait till there's a few more people. If there's anyone on here that knows us through Instagram but has a different name and you're willing to, I'd like to get you guys to tell us who you are so I can make that connection.
That'd be nice for me to know.
Good idea.
Yeah. All right, so where do I start? I've got coffee here because I'm still waking up. I'm sorry, guys.
Me too.
Yeah, you guys are meeting with me early. It's 9 a.m.
Well, it's not that early, but
it's not that early. Yeah.
I slept in today.
Eve, this isn't early for me. I'm not like I did wake up at 6:30 this morning, which is actually late for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I feel like I haven't woken up properly yet this morning. Hey, Raj. Okay, so this stream we're mainly going to talk about pet peeves with our hobby. I don't know how far we will expand it, and maybe the guys watching might bring stuff up that we haven't thought about, but we haven't worked it out. But does anyone want to go first with something that they particularly dislike or irritates them about this hobby? And before we do, my scent of the day is Zing.
Oh, nice.
From L'artisan. It seems perfect for the weather this morning and smells good. What about you guys?
Eve, you go.
Oh, sure. I'm testing out Teo Cabanel's Cafe Cabanel. I know it's a pretty popular one here on YouTube. I'm liking it so far, but I'm realizing the dry down is very similar to something I have. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be getting it. But
I'm curious, is the coffee like dominant through the whole thing?
Not on me, but coffee is very hard to smell on my skin.
Yeah, I just caught a little bit of the replay of the live that you did with Raj. Hey, Raj, today. So I did hear that you were trying that one and that you said you liked it and that you didn't want to like it because you were worried you were going to end up buying a bottle of it.
After wearing it.
Nice. Well, I'm wearing Tonka Imperial today. I caught up with someone yesterday who brought an older bottle to smell, and it sort of just reminded me that what a great fragrance it is. So I decided to spritz that on today.
Awesome. All right. I think we decided Eve was going to go first since she's our guest today.
Thanks, guys.
We'll take turns though. You don't have to talk about all of them.
Cool. All right. So I did write it on my phone because I was going to forget. So My first pet peeve is when brands don't offer samples or sell sample packs, because I am not a collector. I am a serial sampler, and I definitely want to try something out first before making the purchase. So I really can't stand that when they don't sell that.
I'm actually off the top of my head, I couldn't think of a brand that doesn't do it. But do you know specific brands that don't do it?
I could be wrong, but I think a couple years ago when I was trying to check out Bond number 9, it was hard for me to find anything, at least online, that sold samples.
Okay.
I know some history between that brand and this online retailer that was trying to sell their samples, and it didn't go well.
Oh, okay.
So I think they really try to be very exclusive, but I don't know if things have changed since a couple years ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that even if certain brands do samples, they're not always readily available either. So, and they might be more readily available in some jurisdictions than others. So, yeah that really bothers me. I'm with you on that.
So are we talking specifically about brands that don't offer things like a discovery set or, like a 2 ml sprayer or whatever it comes in?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if they gave it for free. Like, I know some brands do that, and that's lovely, but I also know that's not always possible to do. But at least selling some type of discovery set would be nice. Yeah.
I agree. It's a good one. I didn't actually think of that one. Cherie, what do you get annoyed by?
Well, it's actually not so much of a problem now. I think it's getting better, but my pet peeve is when the perfumer is not acknowledged, or when it's not said who the perfumer is. That really, really bothers me, because you want to know. It's a curiosity thing. It's also an acknowledgement too of the creative input, but also, I want to know if there's 20 fragrances in my collection that all have been touched by a particular perfumer. So, that's me.
I'm the same. I mean, I still have bottles of brands that don't do it. I'm thinking, the main one I think of is Xerjoff, because it seems like they never credit a perfumer. It just kind of makes me think that, and doesn't mean anything, and doesn't mean that the quality is worse. It just kind of makes me think that they're just getting their perfumes made up at the big fragrance, IFF and Givaudan and those kind of places. They get a brief sent out, gets made up, and they have their perfume. So, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's worse, but I would, I'm someone like, I guess us, people like us would like to know. I'd like to know who the perfumer is, especially if it's really good. And I know someone's not getting credit for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. For a while, I don't know if it's just me missing information, but I guess earlier in my fragrance journey, I thought that Tom Ford produced a lot of his own fragrance, like he was the one doing it, because a lot of the perfumers weren't credited. And even if you look at sites like Fragrantica, they don't always list Tom Ford's perfumers. So I was surprised to learn that there were actually perfumers doing that work.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've asked this before, like on Instagram maybe, and I asked for people's opinions, and I think, there were a couple of people that mentioned that it was for branding or stuff like that, but I could never kind of understand why, what the advantage is to a house to not name a perfumer. I don't know. Like, I do like how, houses like Frederick Malle make the perfumer the star of the perfume. I guess it's just it's not overly important, but it's nice. It is nice to know, I think. All right, it's my turn, isn't it? I'm gonna start with the very obvious one, and I think we all kind of thought about this one. I hate dabber vials, like in samples.
Yeah.
Um,
That was one of mine as well.
I know I can just pour it into a sprayer or whatever. Look, and I appreciate that Lucky Scent sends samples out, and it's great. But every time I've gotten free samples from Lucky Scent, they've been next to useless. Like it's 1 ml.
I know.
And if I try and dab it on my skin, I pretty much end up spilling the whole thing. I just can never get a good sense of what that fragrance is like from a dabber. Like never.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So, and I don't know what the cost benefit is for those people who do them in dabbers, whether it is that much more expensive. I guess they're probably quite a bit cheaper than sprayers, but considering how cheap little sprayers are,
yeah,
and I'd always be willing to pay something for a sprayer than get a free dabber.
And that's the thing. I think it's great. I mean, they always give you more samples than you might request in an order, but I'd rather they give me less and give me a decent sample than to give me 10 different samples of stuff I didn't ask for. So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating. Yeah,
that's part of the reason why I'm trying not to purchase from Lucky Scent. I just can't stand those dabber vials.
Well, the exchange rate's so bad for us at the moment anyway. I couldn't afford to.
That was my one, and I do have a couple more, but I'll save those for later.
All right, is it on me now? I'm the next one. Okay, so I couldn't think of a lot of examples, but I know they exist. But when a scent doesn't match the description or the name that the brand gives it. So one that came to my mind was Back to Black by Killian, which is a house that I'm not a fan of, to be honest. But Back to Black, when I heard that name, I thought it was going to be very dark and just like a femme fatale type of scent. And it was just like a powdery honey on me. And then Polo Red, which isn't a fragrance that I'm a huge fan of, but when I read the online description for it, it was describing it as like this like thrill-seeking and daring scent, and it's like so not that way. Like complete opposite of that description. So I don't know. I just get annoyed at that.
I'm sorry, Pep, go.
No, you go, Cherie.
No, I was just saying that the other one that I had down was when they quote it as being noir, and it's really not noir. So I think there was one that I tried yesterday that I didn't even realize I had a sample of. Actually, it was a Lucky Scent sample. It was so tiny, and I just was going through my samples and found it. But it was actually, and it guts me to say this, but it was an Ormond Jane one, and it was Oris Noir, and I didn't think it smelled noirish at all whatsoever. It felt very bright and kind of a citrusy iris. So, although again, it was a tiny sample, so maybe. Maybe it wasn't that bad. I'm kidding. So yeah.
I just on a similar topic, and maybe I'm jumping queue, Cherie, so forgive me if I feel
it's okay. It's okay.
But like I'm with the noir thing. I get it as well. But does anyone agree that it's maybe time to stop the femme and homme, like masculine, feminine?
I agree.
Like,
yeah.
But I haven't really thought about the impact, like the impacts going forward for the perfume industry. And I guess they're still doing it because it must generate extra revenue for them. But imagine if nothing was gender labeled and bottle designs were a little bit more neutral. I'd be curious to know how people's tastes might change. Like maybe men might start wearing more florals, and women might start wearing more fougères and all of that kind of thing. So that's not necessarily a pet peeve, but it's kind of something I have thought about before.
That's an interesting point, because I remember when I was in Japan, the brand Diptyque is super popular there, and the way that their bottles look, it's very neutral and very minimalistic. And I noticed that a lot of men there, they were wearing Olen, which is a very jasmine type of scent.
Yeah.
And that is something I wouldn't smell a lot here.
I agree with the Diptyque, yeah.
I think I reckon they'd sell more, to be honest. I think perfume houses, I'd be interested to see if they sold more fragrances because of the fact that people weren't limiting themselves to certain areas of the shelf in the department store. So,
yeah. Okay. I don't know if this has happened to any of you, but a few times whenever I shop at Sephora or some other retailers that sell fragrances, and I'm at the men's section, usually trying stuff out on myself, has anyone experienced having the sales associate trying to direct you to the right section?
Absolutely, yes.
Correct section of the store?
Yep, absolutely. Or assuming that I was buying something for my partner or something like that, and that it wasn't for me.
That's happened to me too.
Yeah, like I always get the, oh, hello, sir, are you looking for something for your wife? Or
yeah, well, I guess for you, it might even be the case of just being in the perfume department at all. I might always just assume that you're there for somebody else.
Look, I think this happens to every one of us who are this interested in perfume. You don't have to be like a reviewer, but I guess anyone watching this stream who is this interested in perfume, going into a department store, and these sales assistants, associates are obviously trained to work this way. Like, so I never get annoyed with them, but I kind of almost always inevitably roll my eyes up at what kind of things they're trained to tell you, and that kind of thing. And for the novice who's just like looking for a gift for someone or whatever, that like it obviously works, and they're probably spending more money in the department stores than people like us, because we're probably buying stuff from different outlets.
True.
But but I always kind of have an inner chuckle when a sales associate tries to tell me about a particular fragrance, the latest, whatever, new designer.
Agreed. Signorina says that she read somewhere that the fragrances were gendered in the earlier 20th century to convince North American males to purchase or use perfume. That's really, really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Those funny North American males.
I'm kind of not surprised, but
maybe they're the people that had all the cash. So
yeah, probably.
Maybe, or they either that or they smelled really bad. Too much bear hunting.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I think Cherie, did you have another one that you wanted to talk to?
Did I have another one? I don't know. I think we might have actually covered. I didn't really have that many pet peeves, to be honest. It's a bit crappy, but it's gaudy bottles. Like, really? I don't buy perfumes for a bottle. I mean, even if a bottle is amazing but the perfume is crap, I won't buy it. But it also goes the other way. I mean, it doesn't work the other way for me, strangely. If it's really a gaudy bottle and looks terrible, I don't want to try it. So
do you have an example of a gaudy bottle that you just can't stand?
I can give you one if Cherie doesn't have one.
I know. I think I know which one you're thinking of, Pep. You go, and then I do have one in mind, but you go first.
Well, it's probably not the one you're thinking of, but when I was younger, I only had a bottle of Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. Okay, so. And I liked wearing that scent, but I was embarrassed about the bottle. Like if anyone
Because it's I mean,
ever came into to my place and saw the bottle on my dresser or whatever. And obviously I'm not like that anymore because I hide my bottles now. but yeah, like you do, like it is something you think about, but I guess it's probably, like one bottle recently that I've seen, and I'm sure the perfumes, I haven't smelled the perfume, so I'm not making a judgment on the perfume. That Jungle Jezebel by
with the hair.
Sarah Baker.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew I had a feeling
when I
into that one.
it.
I know, it's very funny. I mean, when I learned why it was done that way, I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But it definitely stands out for sure. The other ones that I really don't like, and everyone keeps talking about how good the perfumes are, and I still have not tried them. But the Moschino,
the teddy bear ones.
Yeah, don't like those. I just don't like the look of them, really. Yes. And there was one recently, somebody was reviewing something, and it's pointless me talking about it because I can't remember what it was, but it was a hideous bottle. Hideous. So I just think, I don't know why. Or even if they put, random Diamantes on it or something, you just think, oh, why? Why do that?
I'm not a big fan of gold flakes inside the bottle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's pointless, and all it does is add to the expense. And I think,
it's kind of gimmicky.
Definitely,
that's part of the reason why I'm not a huge fan of Kilian, because I mean the bottles themselves are fine, but from all the reviews I've been seeing of their fragrances, they come in these huge cases, and I mean, I try to be minimalistic with my belongings, and I just don't see a situation where I would be able to use those. You can't use it as a purse or anything like that. So it just adds to the price.
It's interesting because I actually don't keep pretty much all the boxes that my perfumes come in. It's literally because I put my perfumes, like they're all enclosed in a limited space, and I don't have space to keep those boxes anywhere else. That's so it's a very practical reason for me. But when I do buy a bottle and there's excessive packaging, I'm not necessarily a big fan of that, but I can understand why collectors might like that, because a lot of them, from pictures I've seen, actually still keep them in their boxes, and it's a nice kind of display piece as well.
Yeah. I really, some of those boxes I find, I do keep all the boxes now, even though I don't use the boxes. So I actually have underneath the house a box of boxes, but mostly that's because I have a feeling that one day there's a lot of these perfumes are going to be going off the shelf and into somebody else's home. And I thought it'd be nice to be able to give it to them in the actual box or sell it to them in the box.
That's nice of you.
But also, and also if we move again and I can't keep them out, because this room doesn't get direct sunlight, so I can keep them in here out of the boxes and it's not a problem. But I think if I was to move and couldn't have that, I'd put them back in the boxes. So it does actually make it easier to store them, but I find it's harder to know what I have when they're all in their boxes. So anyway.
True.
But flankers, that was another comment that you just put up. That's definitely.
There are a few, I think, successful flankers, but when they keep releasing flanker after flanker for the same one fragrance, I do get bored of that.
What's the recent example of that? I think, the first one that comes to mind is the YSL L'Homme range. It seems like, I know they had a very successful flanker with La Nuit de L'Homme, but it just seems to be so many of them. And sometimes I look at a line of flankers and I'm almost put off because of I almost don't want to think about which one to try first.
Yeah. I think the Daisy ones have a lot of flankers too, don't they? I've never really worn that fragrance, but Yeah, I agree. It actually puts me off because I sort of go, oh, I don't. It's too overwhelming.
It is.
How many flankers? You don't know which one to go for. Having said that, there have been some fragrances that have very successful flankers, and sometimes flankers are better than the original. But then, if it's that good, why don't they just release a new perfume?
True. So I want to ask you both, and Eve, if you've got any more, we'll get to them in a second. But I want to ask you both what your thoughts are on official note pyramids. Okay, so I was during the week. I thought, are we better to just not have any note pyramids? But then I thought, for people who can't sample, they need something to reference, right? But then there are a lot of note pyramids that just simply don't smell like they look. I think this would be a really hard thing to change anyway. Like, it would mean the perfumer, like, I would actually just prefer the perfumer to say, well, this is the style that I've tried to make, and these are the main accords that you'll smell when you're smelling it, rather than try and list individual notes. But like, that would depend on the perfumer being willing to do that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Cherie, were you going to say something?
No, you go. You're the guest.
Yeah, I think it is helpful to see some of the notes listed, like maybe the main ones. But sometimes when they put it in a pyramid, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't always smell the top notes where it's supposed to be, or the base notes where it's supposed to be. So that doesn't always, like, that's not logical to me sometimes. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's useful. So I sometimes play a little game with myself, and I'll smell things. Actually, I pretty much do this with any perfume I don't know anything about, but I'll smell it, and then I'll try and guess what's in it, and then I'll go and look at the note listing. And it's kind of fun to do it that way. So in that regard, I like the fact that there is a note listing there that I can refer to. But it is kind of useless. It's one of those things that if you don't have all the notes, then it's, in some cases, it might be pointless, because there might be things that you're smelling that you don't know that you're smelling, but they're in there, but they're not listed. But then I also understand that, perfumers don't want to give away everything that they've put into a fragrance, particularly if it's a popular one. But I also like the idea of not having a notes listing and just being able to talk about how a fragrance makes me feel, or the images that it evokes, which I can still do anyway, but it just sometimes knowing what's in a fragrance, or having somebody tell me, a shopping list of notes, can sometimes bias, I think, how I think about a fragrance before I've even tried it.
I think if you're gonna try and review fragrances, like, this has kind of come to me over time. Like, I didn't think of this initially, but if you're going to try and review fragrances, you almost want to avoid a note pyramid until you need to look at it, because like, we make videos, and it's like, if I'm watching someone, I'd rather hear what they're smelling, what their experiences smell, even if they're smelling, if they say jasmine and what it really is orange blossom or whatever, right? It doesn't matter, but you would still get a sense of what this perfume smells like, and it also tells me the reviewer is being honest about what they're smelling, rather than memorizing a note pyramid.
No, that's right.
Yeah, so Eve, did you have any more on your list, given that you wrote one down?
I think you took a lot of mine. So you mentioned gender marketing and the dabber vials. I think the last one I had was someone had mentioned flankers, but it's not quite it. Releasing very similar basic type of fragrances that smell the same. It's more found, I think, in the designer end of things. But I just get bored.
I think that kind of happened. Like, a recent example of that, I think, Eve, is when Dior released Sauvage, and it became crazy successful. And then I think Versace released Dylan Blue, which is kind of similar, and then Prada released one of the Luna Rossa, maybe one of those lines, which was kind of based on Sauvage as well, and I think a couple of others, and maybe Dior also probably tried to copy Bleu de Chanel in some ways as well.
Yeah.
But you're right, that all that copying of designers, and again, it's probably business driven thing.
Yeah,
it's not very creative at all. Rich Mitch makes a very good point that I was thinking of as well. Look, I can almost accept it in cheap perfume, in cheap bottles. But if you're gonna pay good money for supposedly good perfume, I really hate when the spray is crappy or it gets stuck. And I'll say I have a bottle. I have a bottle of and look, I don't want to say that this is the case for everything, but maybe it's individual bottles that have a crappy sprayer, and I think most times they're pretty good about you returning them. But like, for instance, I have a bottle of Andy Tower Lait du Desert Medocaine, and the sprayer on that is terrible. And I don't know if it's the same with all the bottles, but you kind of have to like hit it at the right pressure to get anything out, or if you press it the wrong way, it just like kind of dribbles out and you get it all over your hand and all that. I do have to say though, I love Christian Dior sprayers.
Yes.
Yes.
And the Jardin ones as well. They're really, really good.
Which one?
For the full bottle?
Sana Jardin, their sprays are beautiful. Oh, they're amazing. Just on the similar line, and I should have thought about this morning given what I'm wearing today, but the bulb atomizers, which Guerlain insisted on using on their La Matière line for a while. They've changed them now due to complaint.
Can you not get them with a regular sprayer, those ones?
You can now. They've actually stopped doing the bulb atomizers because so many people complained. They used to do them. They used to come in the box with a bulb atomizer and a normal atomizer. You could interchange them if you wanted to. But then for a while on the high-end ones, the only ones you could get were with these bulb atomizers, and they're so crappy. So I was in the Guerlain counter the other day talking to the sales assistant, and I know her quite well. I'm in there a lot. And she was saying, oh, have you got Tonka Imperial? And I said, yeah, you sold that to me a couple of years ago. And I said, the only thing I hate about it is the atomizer. And she said, oh, it does not work. And I had the feeling that if I'd said it doesn't work, that she would have said, well, I'll bring it back in and we'll change it. But they are selling them with the normal atomizers now. So
okay.
I heard they make your perfumes evaporate faster too.
Because I've kept it in its box most of the time, I haven't really I haven't noticed it evaporating quicker, but I've only had it for a couple of years, so maybe
I'm guessing it's probably just because it's not as airtight as regular atomizers. It would make sense, but funnily enough, just speaking on that, I don't think I've ever had a small sample evaporate. I mean, I've heard of people who keep small sample sprayers, and then if they haven't touched them for a while, they've evaporated, and that's thankfully that's never happened to me. But it's strange. Like
I've had it happen with a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. So there obviously was just something faulty with that particular sample vial or whatever. But yeah, I've definitely had one. I think it was a Mihan Aromatics one, because I bought the Discovery kit a couple of last year, I think, and I went back to try. I tried them all and I liked them, and then I went back to revisit one and it was empty.
Oh man,
it was in the box, but so it's just it's luck of the draw, I think.
So, Christopher Sisk, I'm like, I do have opaque bottles as well, but usually if you hold them to the light, you can see the levels. But I think you're probably talking about not actually being able to see the juice at all.
Yeah, my Narciso Rodriguez bottle, I cannot see through that at all.
Oh, okay.
And there was one day where I
too.
did run out of it, and I didn't know. So yeah,
because they're pretty
and
heavy.
they're so heavy too. You can't tell.
And I heard you're not supposed to shake your bottles too, because I don't know if that's true, if it ruins the juice, but yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not
Yeah, I
sure.
don't know. I mean, I would have thought if it was airtight, it wouldn't matter, because I would have thought that the reason would be if you shake it, you're going to get air bubbles in it and oxidize the fragrance. But if it's airtight, it shouldn't.
It's probably fine. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and the other point Christopher makes, EDT, EDP. Yeah, I know what you're saying. So I think he's saying that that they're very different when they're released in different concentrations. I don't know. I don't actually mind that. I just assume that they're going to be a different smelling perfume rather than just a stronger version of the original these days. Because that very rarely happens these days, where different concentrations are released that are basically the same perfume, just more oil in the bottle. But I kind of I accept things like the Guerlain EDT, EDPs differences. I know that a lot of them have got different notes in each of the different concentrations, but unless we know what the recipe is, it's hard to tell.
That does bother me a little bit too sometimes, because I don't often, I'm guilty of gravitating towards, or naturally just going towards, the EDPs rather than EDTs, and then to find out years later that actually I would have preferred the EDT because the note listing was different. That really annoys me.
Yeah.
Years of missing out on something because I decided to disregard it due to concentration.
Yeah.
So I see Rich.
Yeah, ergonomic. I've got a couple of bottles that are really actually difficult to hold and spray.
Yeah, I know Cherie definitely has one.
Yeah, there's a couple.
I think the worst one I've got is it's a Prada Amber Pour Homme, and it's basically this kind of rectangle, but it's like this. It's this wide. I have to hold it like that, and then I'm spraying like this, and sometimes my finger slips off the sprayer, and first world problems.
Definitely.
So I have got another pet peeve, okay, and this probably doesn't happen as much as it used to, but I've got this very cheap perfume that I bought at the local chemist years ago, Cherie, and it was like a $7. It's from Javan. It's called Sex Appeal. So it's actually really nice cologne, right? But on the bottle, it's on the packet itself. It's got little advertising blurb copy. I'm going to read it to you because word for word, this is what's on the box. Okay, Sex Appeal. Now you don't have to be born with it. This provocative, stimulating blend of rare spices and herbs was created by man for the sole purpose of attracting women at will. More than the usual promise in a bottle, it's more like a guarantee. That is literally what is on the bottle. You can look this up. It's online. So it's not even so much a pet peeve, but it's kind of very, very cringy because every now and then there'll be a new. So my point is, they're advertising copy for some perfume, even now that they get released. Are a bit cringy to read, and I read one recently. I wish I'd noted down which one it was, but I think sometimes it gets lost in translation. Maybe if it's a French house, the French marketing team have written it out, and then when it gets translated to English, it reads even worse.
Could be.
But that, I thought I'd mention that one as well.
That's a good one, actually. Yeah, really bad, over the top descriptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me from buying it, but I I didn't read it before I bought it. I probably still would have bought it anyway, just to see if it was true. But no.
Did that fragrance keep its promise? Or?
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I think that's bordering on misleading and deceptive conduct.
yeah. No, but it's a nice smell, but no, I'm not going to ask for my money back.
Having said that, the Jovan fragrances, I've heard a lot of people talking about the Jovan fragrances over the years, and they seem to be really underrated because a lot of people seem to really like them for the price.
I think for what they cost, some of the musks are pretty popular. Like this particular one, Sex Appeal, that I have, I mean, to me, it's actually a really nice blend, and it doesn't smell cheap. It smells better than what it is, and if it was repackaged and remarketed, like a lot of people might think, oh, well, this is actually pretty good perfume. I mean, I think it's better than a lot of the designer stuff that you find in department stores.
You've just made me think of something else, actually. Is the exorbitant price of some fragrances that I just think, okay, even if they put the best ingredients in. I was online the other day looking at a site here in Australia, and the price of the bottle was over $1,000, and I just thought that's just ridiculous.
Wow.
Who would pay that much for a perfume? I don't care if it's got Swarovski crystals on the bottle. I don't care if they've used the best quality whatever, but I just feel like surely it cannot be that expensive.
I just want to warn you now, Cherie, because last week when we were talking to Raj, and I think I mentioned that when there are particular brands that kind of price themselves out of my personal budget, I don't even bother sampling it or testing them. That's what I said pretty much in those words. And then I got a comment on this later on. Someone watched the stream and obviously heard me say it, and their comment was, don't hate a brand because you can't afford it. And
I'm not saying I can't afford it. I'm just saying I don't see the value in it.
I'm pretty sure I didn't say I hated them. And yeah, I can't afford them, but I didn't say I hate them. But this particular commenter won't be commenting anymore because he also commented about Eve's video during the week.
That's the same guy.
Same guy. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So won't be hearing from him anymore.
Oh well.
Yeah. So that's my pet peeve, when people make assumptions about things you say.
That's right. And I will say that I know the fragrance and it is a beautiful fragrance, but I will not pay that much money for a bottle of fragrance. It's just
Wow.
Well, look,
ridiculous.
So Christopher mentions Roger. Roger is one of those brands that I was thinking of. I have tested a couple of them and I like them a lot. I like them a lot. And if they were affordable to me, I probably would have bottles of those, but I don't want them enough to spend that much money. So, but if people love them, they should. And if they can afford it, obviously, I wouldn't want anyone to go into debt for it.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think, have we not spoken about any that you might have thought about during the week? I'm just trying to think if there was anything that came up for me.
No, I don't think so. I think I was surprised, actually. When you first came up with this topic, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go to town. And then I realized that there wasn't really that much that really bothered me. So, and I really had to think about, what things do really bother me? And there was all the obvious things, obviously, that we've already talked about, but I don't think there's that much really.
I look, and I'm not going to get into it here because I don't want to be controversial, but I think I have more pet peeves about the fragrance community than the fragrance hobby itself.
Oh, here we go.
No.
That's it. He's cutting it off. That's it.
No, not at all.
Expand on it.
Oh, no, look, I'll mention one thing, and it won't. I'm not. It's not about individuals. One thing I've always been surprised about is how offended people get when you don't like something that they like. It always surprises me. Like, I know people don't like some of the things I love, but like, why should I care about that?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people's opinions who I value, but even so, if they don't like something that I really like, I just put it down to they have different tastes and maybe their skin's different, whatever. Like,
so I'm curious about this because I have a theory that the reason people get so upset either on a blog post or an Instagram post or a YouTube video is because, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I have a feeling that if you were having an actual conversation with somebody and having a back and forth about what you like and what they don't like or whatever, that it wouldn't, the level of offense would be lower, but because it's a one-sided review, it's a one-sided conversation effectively when we record videos or we write a post, that people don't feel that by the time they get to the bottom of they've been through the whole thing or they've listened to the whole video, they haven't had their chance. I think it's a human reaction thing. I think people haven't had the chance to sort of talk it through and get an understanding. It's really just they've been listening to one side of a conversation and it's by the time they get to the end of it, they're so riled up.
That's so interesting.
I don't know. I'd be interested to know if people who comment and when they get really upset about these things, if you were actually having a conversation with them face to face or on the phone, whether it wouldn't be so bad. I don't know. I could be wrong. But
I think that's a really interesting point. I never thought of it that way, but that's possible. Because you're right, it is one-sided, right? You're not conversing and having that back and forth interaction about what they love. So that could be it.
Yeah.
And also perfume is so personal as well.
It is. Yeah.
Sorry, you go with.
I was going to say, I always thought that part of the reason why people get upset is when they hear someone say something negative about something they love, like a perfume, maybe they're having like the self-doubt, like, oh, maybe it is bad. Then what do other people think when I wear it outside? And I don't know if that's why, or if there is just that personal attachment that they have, or if it's them thinking that their ability to choose good fragrances is being attacked. I don't know.
I think a lot of that is that because there is an element of taking a comment personally, like your taste is being questioned, what that association means to you, like, because we all have personal associations with scents, and like you'll look up your most treasured fragrance on Fragrantica and it's only got a rating of 3.2, right? And you think, what are these people on? But you love it because, I mean, you know why you love it. You can make that connection, but you shouldn't expect other people to make those same connections, and vice versa, of course. I want to go back because this hasn't been talked about. A couple of people made comments about discontinuations and reformulations. I think in the past I've said I just assume it's inevitable, right? And as far as I'm concerned, I vote with my feet. If I buy the perfume and it's not like it used to be, I don't like it, I'll stop buying it. It's as simple as that. I just don't have the time and energy to go vintage hunting and looking for original formulations and that kind of thing. But some people, that's great, but that's my personal view on reformulations and discontinuation. But before I let you guys talk, sorry, do you guys do you guys ever think about reviewing anything that you know is discontinued? Like, because I've got a couple of discontinued fragrances in samples, and I wonder sometimes if what the point of doing a review is. But I don't know. You might have different opinion.
Well, I guess the reason I do this isn't to review things so people will buy them. The reason I do this is because I like talking about it. And,
Yeah.
Me too.
So I don't. So yes, I will review things that have been discontinued. I haven't done it yet on my YouTube channel. I don't think. I think I might have mentioned a couple, but I'm laughing because after our live stream last week, Pep, you effectively introduced me to several people within Brisbane who follow your channel, and I caught up with a couple of them this week, and Cosro has given me a vintage bottle that has been discontinued of a pretty special perfume. So he wants me to review it. So yes, I will be reviewing that.
Awesome.
So
wow.
yeah, but again, I just do this because I like talking about it. It's not because I'm expecting people to buy stuff or to generate an income. So
okay, well then you've convinced me. Then I should because I've got a decant of Gucci Envy for Men, which has kind of become legendary since it got discontinued. I sometimes wonder whether the fact that a perfume's discontinued makes it 20% better than it actually was. That's just me.
Eve? About discontinued fragrances? I mean, I've reviewed some. Sorry. Like, I'm the same as Cherie. I don't do these things to make people buy them.
Yeah.
And also sometimes they are available on online retailers. So if someone really wanted to try it out and they like the fragrance, they can buy it from those websites. But I just like talking about it too.
Yeah, and I think some people. Oh, sorry, Pep, go.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think some people really get a kick out of trying to hunt these things down too. It's like that in itself is a hobby for them. Yeah, so
it's a thrill.
I wasn't being critical of it. I'm just still. I was actually wondering whether I should or not, but I'll
do it.
Yeah, cool. All right. And what about so the reformulation's the same for me. If something smells different than it used to, and I don't like it, I don't bother anymore. Just seeing if there's any comments here that we've missed.
Iron Mash still crying now. Oh,
about what?
Gucci Envy.
Oh,
yeah. Well, look, do you guys spend any time on forums like Base Notes and Fragrantica and that kind of thing?
I used
a little
to.
bit.
Do you know occasion? I don't know if this is a male thing more than a female thing, because I've noticed there is a significant difference in what men talk about on those fragrance forums to what women talk about on those fragrance forums. Perfume is like a real sport for some guys, right?
Like everything.
I mean, you just have to look at top 10 lists and that kind of thing. But sometimes you get the feeling, and a couple of people mentioned this, that like discontinued fragrances kind of over time get this aura about them that they were so much better than what's out there at the moment. And then I just wonder how many people would say it if they were still available on the shelves.
Yeah. I this week I received a package of a little mini of Chanel Coco, vintage Chanel Coco Chanel. And I smelled, I mean, it's old, so it's very likely that it has turned a little bit. But I didn't think it was that great. But I'm sure it's probably too old, I'm guessing. So it didn't cost me that much. So that's probably why as well. But somebody did say to me, oh, well, just put it on your skin and then let it sit there for a couple of hours, and it might actually develop again. I don't know. I don't know. I just Personally, I just feel like if I get caught up in all of that, then I'll never be satisfied with the fragrances that I can get now. And I'll be just really upset about it. So why would I get myself all worked up about something that I can't control or change? So, I don't know. Sometimes I think that, well, okay, so think about the perfume that I talked about a few weeks ago, which is the one that I was given a first bottle of. It was my first full bottle of perfume that I was ever given as a child. And I remember my memory of that fragrance was so much better than what it is, because I managed to get another bottle of it, and it's terrible. And I don't think it's turned. I think it's literally just that it wasn't that great. And then I was trying a Norman Jane fragrance, and there was an element of that sort of smelled the same as what I remembered this other fragrance to smell like when I was a kid. So your memory changes over time as well. It's imperfect recollection.
That's so true. Yeah. It's kind of like when you watched a movie when you were younger and then you watch it again more recently, and then you realize, what was I thinking? At least for me.
Exactly. So
yeah, Gail makes the memory thing is a big factor, I think, for me. I just thought of something and I lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry, I probably distracted you.
No, that's all right, because no, I've lost it. I was going to say something. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get definitely get that with vintage stuff, especially stuff that you used to have that you didn't smell for a long time. And like yesterday on Instagram, I posted my that tag with the 10 fragrances that I think Eve
I saw that.
tagged me. And it was interesting to think about, like, the early ones that I posted. A few of them are things that I wouldn't like wear now, but it's interesting to think about how what you used to wear might have brought you to where you are now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And your tastes change over time as well, so.
Yeah, and Raoul makes a good point about particular ingredients, notes, like especially citruses can, I guess it does also obviously depend on, if you've got vintage, it's got to smell. It's still got to smell good, and it depends what was used at the time.
Absolutely.
I heard the same thing about patchouli. I don't know if this is true, but I think I read something that it's not very stable.
Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought a lot of the things that are used in base notes are less volatile than citruses and stuff, but there's obviously some materials that still go off. I know we're going off on a tangent here. I know things that have vanilla in them. I've got a couple of perfumes that have got vanilla, and I'm not sure whether it's actually real vanilla or vanillin, but they start off, when they're new, they're clear juice, and then they gradually get darker. Has that happened to you guys?
All my vanillas have done that I've kept.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, same. Yep, definitely. I've got a few that have done that.
Bye, Signorina. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, we've gone over an hour, or nearly at an hour already. Let's see if anyone has any questions or want to make any comments. And then might be a perfect time to wind up. That way Eve can get off her computer for today.
That's right. You had a busy evening or afternoon.
It was good. It's talking about something I love. It's not like work, right? Work days, I'm on the computer the whole day.
You know, Cherie, the point you made earlier about having a discussion with someone about perfume, it did make me think. Here's now what I remember thinking about, that maybe if we can arrange it, we should all, the three of us, actually do a live perfume review of something we all have a sample of. So not necessarily a bottle, because if we've got a bottle, we're likely to all like it, but maybe if we can all get a sample of maybe something that's that's doing around the rounds on social media or whatever, and then we'll take notes or whatever, and then come on here and like literally do a review live. What do you think of that?
I love that idea. I think it's great.
I'm down for it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put our thinking caps on and try and think of something we can get a hold of that we can. If I mean, I can easily send you something, Cherie, if you can't find it, but we'll lean. If it's something that Eve can get pretty easily, then we'll see if we can get. But we can talk about this offline. I felt like I was at work then.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right. Awesome. You two, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And
Likewise.
I can't let this end without saying, particularly Eve, you've been amazing this week. If anyone else follows you on social media,
Absolutely.
like I really I've really leaned on your post information, what you've said this week to educate myself. I'm pretty sure Cherie shares those sentiments.
Absolutely.
Not only you, but like I follow you, so I see a lot of what you're posting, and all I want to do is say thank you. That's it.
That's so nice. Thanks. I get really awkward with compliments, so we could end it right here.
You're going to have to take them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
And yeah, your posts have been really comprehensive and thorough. So, and you've not only given the information, but you've also provided links where people can go to get more. So I agree. And when I did my little statement yesterday, it was definitely, you were top in my mind of people that have been posting things that I've found really useful. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. I just hope more people learn about things that are going on, and I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
Well, if everyone just starts from the position of learning or wanting to learn, it can't be a bad thing. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a beautiful Sunday, Cherie.
Thanks,
is it still Saturday there, Eve?
Yeah, Saturday.
All right. Enjoy your night.
Thank you
Bye,
both.
Guys. Bye.